if you are a creator trying to become an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who's either way, you have to learn the art of sales.
Guy running the thing was like, dude, I started an agency with all your videos. Like, he's never given me $1 and he's making a living, like starting his own business. Like, that is actual influence.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the trends going into 2025 and the kind of content that people should be making?
Who here would love by the end of this call to monetize their YouTube channel? Because everybody thinks it's like something you got to work toward.
Yeah.
The reality is you could start monetizing today. And the way you do that is
because of social media and because of our phones, we've also lost the art of communication. Mm-hmm. And I've realized how many adults can't hold a conversation. They can't communicate. They can't write. So if you can do those things and you have basic language,
it's crazy.
You would do well on a podcast.
Yeah.
If you have a thought. I mean, look, there's so much space for, especially if you have the ability to communicate. But the question I was going to ask you, and some part of my own evolution, is when Reels first launched, I was going viral all the time. It was easy. However, it was annoying because it brought the wrong audience.
Hey-yo.
It was meant for the ladies. It was not meant for the men. So I've spent the last 2 years no offense, sorry, men, trying to get rid of the men and building the kind of content for the ladies that I had intended on making it for. And then as someone who then during that evolution had to figure out what my voice was going to be and how relatable I was going to be. And I went through a divorce. My life was evolving. And so do I take people along this journey?
Yep.
But I live a very public life while also being incredibly private. Like, you'll never see the kids, any of that. And I said all that to say, folks are trying to go viral. And so they're wanting to, get the trends. And I was going viral because of those trends and realized I needed to find a different way to do these trends that was still authentic to my own voice.
That's good.
While understanding that when I tried to even mix influence to equity with Sarah Lifestyle, it did not work.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. That's why I have a hard time with like people who sell virality. Yeah. Like, it's not about going viral. And you have, by the way, that's like a cool hook or a visual headline for areas like, I went viral and I hated it, or how going viral messed with my business.
Producer.
How,
let's write that down.
Like, just because the reality is if you go viral for the wrong thing, it will hurt you.
It did.
And even if you're not the person too, like, I mean, there's also like, people like where, the success hits them and it crushes them because they weren't even prepared for it. So I think at the end of the day, it starts with determining your intention for it to begin with.
Right.
And there is a term that I think is because I mean, I love it when things perform well, but I love it when it performs well because I'm very hyper intentional about the content we're creating. So when it does go well, it's viral for me. So there's a difference between going viral and that idea being kind of like a very generalized comparison amongst all platforms. Hundreds of millions of views, you went viral. But if you went viral for the wrong thing, it could hurt you. Now, if you went viral for the right thing, it will help you.
Right.
What's funny is, like, kind of talking back, Myron had his most viral moment a month ago, where like the School of Hard Knocks guys, which are the guys that on the street interviews, they walked up to him and they were like, "Sir, is this your Rolls Royce?" And what's so cool about that is I think he got 100 million views on a clip where he said he loves the Lord,
Yep.
he helps business owners, he's a consultant. Like, that video, he went viral for the right thing. So more power to him.
Yeah.
But if it was because, God forbid, he was dancing to a trending song and that's why people followed him, but that's not what he does, then it's like that. And so that's why you have to know, in your attempts of uploading and posting, maybe you ask yourself, if this went viral, would I be okay with that?
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you weren't thinking that way when you first started. It was like wide open opportunity. Let's just do it. Yeah. Or maybe your perspective or definition of success was just the amount of views. Yeah. I'm actually, I've gotten over 60 million views on YouTube. I've been able to help grow a channel to over 2.5 2.8 million subscribers. And I'm grateful for that exposure. But in the season I'm in right now, it's cross-pollinated a certain kind of audience. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people that follow me, which I'm grateful for you if you follow me. Number one, I'm sure you're in for all the things, but they're starting from zero. They're not people that invest in themselves. They're not, they still have a lot of this to unpack because they think like content will print money when it's like, no, you need something underneath it all. Sure. You need a business. And so like a lot of the messaging around Think Media was free, cheap, easy, quick. And those words make certain kinds of people move. And those aren't necessarily the certain kinds of people I want to do business with.
Right.
But it's all a journey. You don't know unless you put yourself out there.
Right.
At the end of the day, because it was valuable, videos that I've gotten millions of views on YouTube for were great because my face was connected to something that literally we did a podcast yesterday for another person's show, and the guy running the thing was like, dude, I started an agency with all your videos. Like he's never given me $1 and he's making a living, like starting his own business. Like that is actual influence.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that,
Yeah.
I just say all that to say that it's the thought process of like, why go viral to begin with? I don't want to go viral. I do want the right people to see my stuff.
Right.
But that is determined by the messaging and the way I package it. So
it's my intention for going viral was for beauty brands. It was not for the men who accidentally showed up.
That's funny you said that. I have a friend who's a luxury real estate agent.
Yeah. Shout
out to Sam. He's ex-NBA player, tall, beautiful, handsome black dude.
Yeah.
Would walk into dope homes, open doors, and like the girls were just on. And he's just like happily married with 2 kids. And he's like, why do these broads be commenting?
Why are you here?
I'm trying to sell homes. None of these girls are going to buy a home from me. But dude, stop opening doors looking like that with I don't know, he like put on a face. Anyway.
But it's actually a great point because even with one of the reasons why I started Influence to Equity is because that's exactly what I did. I took my influence and then I was able to confidently ask for equity in companies and they said yes. And
dude, I've done the same thing in a different way. I built influence and I threw an offer, my very first coaching offer at $2,000.
Yeah.
And 55 people, like I made $110,000. I think another way to think of the way I think of equity is digital equity.
Yes.
The ability to ask and then receive because the trust has been built there. But yeah, I love influence to equity. That's a dope. Okay, so you partnered with these people.
Oh, I love this. So I partnered with them. I asked for equity as a joke. They said yes. I was going to use the brand anyway. It's a product I already used. They end up getting acquired. And it was the easiest $80,000 I ever made in my entire life. I did nothing for
I love
this.
that.
I didn't even get a chance to make the content that they needed. Like, shout out to y'all, by the way. And then that led me down a path of like the pandemic happened. So I learned about equity and I learned how much influence and how much power my influence actually had. Then I had the realization, which brings me to what you just said, is that social media, at least for me, and please tell me if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being challenged here. Influence and social media is just top of funnel. I think for influencers to not understand or creators to not understand that they are startups is a mistake. Operate as a startup with it being top of funnel, which is the clips and the reels and the shorts and consuming. And if there's enough value there, then hopefully there's a product, there's a service, there's something underneath that you can lead them down to until you get a purchasing power. And hopefully you have then a 30,000, 50,000 program or whatever it is. What is the process, or walk me through the process of a creator or someone who's an entrepreneur like a real estate agent who is trying to get clients and use social media as the top of funnel to then build a multiple 7-figure business?
That's really good. Yeah, I think the word funnel is, some people don't know that word, but it is that image, right? Another word is journey. People don't just buy, they buy because they feel like it, and you should create a journey where people get to a place where they feel like buying the thing you're selling for their obviously benefit, growth, or whatever, and in any capacity. I think before you even think that way, because not all creators are entrepreneurs, and maybe not all entrepreneurs should be creating,
Sure.
right? So the thing I want people to know, though, that you could build a media company, or you can use content as a way of marketing your company. So one, the content is the business. Mm-hmm. The other is the content is a means to doing business. So if you're building a media company, you are trying to get massive viewership. You are going to leverage probably brand deals, sponsorships, low ticket items, merch, sure. Whatever, you know. You think about like Mr. Beast is built a media company. Mm-hmm. That's actually what's so funny, bringing it back to like Colin and Samir, because they're big on like the creator economy. Mm-hmm. I remember watching their episode with Ali Abdaal, he's a creator, but he's an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And they were like, bro, you made $5 million on YouTube, like with the YouTube. And he's like, yeah, I sold a course. Well, how do you even, they were just so perplexed, but it's because they're creators, you know, like they're building a media company, whereas he was building an education company. And those are two different things. Yeah. And so I think it first starts there. Like, what do you want to build? Because each route has its own objectives. Now, just for people probably watching this who are in business, like real estate, maybe you're a coach or consultant, service provider, what have you, it's a beautiful thing to automate trust. If you're an entrepreneur, you know the only reason why people do business with you is because they know, like, and trust you. Yeah. And one way to automate know, like, and trust is through content, is through video. It's you. Like, you, once you upload it, like, I mean, I love posting content, because the video I posted today has 2,000 views. My YouTube video, and I'm an entrepreneur, so this is this is business, right? Yeah. My YouTube video that I dropped yesterday has 17,000 views. That's an hour long. Like, that's powerful. So I could do this type of stuff. So I could be in LA. We had 3 cups of coffee this morning and just enjoyed the city. Like, but more than that, people are getting to know me. They're getting to like me. They're getting to trust me. And that's part of showing up. Part of showing up consistently is saying, oh, okay, this person, like, they are who they say they are, right. You know? So I say all that to say, from that point, if you understand it's a journey, right. Then you know that you need great next steps. You need to show people where the next step is. And I would even say, make the next step easy. I love this. Jesus in Matthew 11 says, he tells the people, he says, are you burnt out on religion? Or he says, are you heavy burden? I don't know, I'm drawing a blank now. He says, come to me all who are weary, heavy burden, and I'll give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Like, he identified the pain. Then he showed him what the promise is, if you know, and then he said, the way to do that is actually easy. I think a lot of times people don't make it easy to go from your platform to the next step. For me, something I do that is a next step from all the stuff I'm doing is a challenge. And it's a very high touch, low cost way to get access to me. And that's how people learn about my coaching and consulting. But for others, it might be book a discovery call. For others, it might be, you know, I'm doing a web class, a Zoom call, whatever. And then that's how you bridge people. But I just think you just have to think that way. So if it is a journey, you should be able to reverse engineer how somebody gets to the place of working with you. So if you're selling real estate and I'm making content, I'm probably going to make content that's going to show me to be the expert of this city or this zip code. Like my friend Sam, he's a multimillionaire from one zip code. He's just become the expert. So when he makes his YouTube videos, he talks about the area. He doesn't talk about like the details of the finishes and stuff. He's like, no, down the street is actually a great golf course and country club. Like, if you're into that stuff, right. Ladies, you know, they have a great spa. Like, he's speaking to the people because he wants to be seen as the expert, because people will trust the expert. Right. So his language in his videos, you know, if you're coming from the Pacific Northwest, these kinds of homes are kind of like, you know, so it backtracks to your messaging. And then because you're talking to those people, they'll feel like, man, it felt like you were talking to me. Right. And then that bridges, like, I mean, for real estate agents, a lot of times you could put a phone number right there and have, you know, somebody there. Maybe it's a, like an interest form or something like that. But just bridging, you want to bridge if you're a coach or consultant. Maybe it's a wait list. Maybe it is that discovery call. And then this is why it's really good to understand sales. As an entrepreneur, as a creator, like the more you understand sales, the better you will be able to focus on what people desire to hear as opposed to what you want to say.
Right.
I found that when you say when what people are thinking and saying comes out of your mouth, it grabs them.
Yeah.
Like I did with that YouTube example. Like I was thinking that. Well, I know you were thinking that because I was paying attention when I've been helping all the people I help.
Right.
And then at that point, yeah, it should be that it's that clear. It's like next step, make it easy. When people say DM me the word, they're just using a thing called ManyChat. Yep. It's a plugin. Don't make it more than what it is. Yeah. And then it automates a link, and then people just jump in and they go next step.
I am so glad you mentioned sales. If you're a creator, if you are an influencer, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a founder, which by the way, they're not the same thing. If you're a parent, if you're a
pastor, if you're a friend, if you're a human being,
you are in sales.
100.
Somebody was asking me, Sarah, how did you become so good at sales? Have you tried talking to kids?
Exactly.
My son is how I learned sales first.
Yes.
The art of negotiation started with my then 7-year-old, who's now 12.
So good.
And, but if you are a creator trying to become an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who's either way, you have to learn the art of sales.
Yeah.
Why is that such a difficult concept for people to understand?
There's a preconceived idea of sales that it's sleazy. It's somebody stopping you in your tracks and interrupting your day, making you buy something you don't want to buy. Or we think about the timeshare experience. That's just where I think our brain takes us.
Car salesman.
Just forcing. That's like when we think sales, most people think I don't want to force things. Well, it's like, okay, but everything we've ever done in life is because we felt like it, and someone along the way did something to make us feel like we wanted to buy the thing. So I think it's first knowing that you can't run from it. There's no neutral position when it comes to sales. It's either you suck at it or you're intentional with it.
Right.
And in the parent example, I found that we could forcefully make Ruby do something we know is good for her, or we could connect it to something she cares about and she'd be more happy to do so. Mm-hmm. I said, like, hey, Ruby, go brush your teeth. No. Hey, Ruby, brush your teeth and we could start a movie tonight after you're done. Done. Why? Because I gave her the outcome of the thing to the next step, you know? And that's what it is. It's just being good at like painting pictures of what could be and what should be. You never see an airline market their airline, the chair, the empty seat, which is what they're selling.
Right.
So you're selling an empty seat, but no, you market the destination. You never see a car, sitting on a car lot. It's always being driven in the woods, right. And like, I'll never drive it here, but that looks really cool.
Right.
So yeah, it's sales and persuasion. And the reality is it's, as believers, it's biblical. However, there are people that use it to take advantage of others.
Sure.
And so that's the other side. I think great people will realize that's the case, and you'll find it'll serve you really well if you know that you can leverage sales for the good of both sides.
Right.
And really it's just helping people get out of their own way. I mean, to do the thing that you know that they should do.
Let's talk about the one thing that people don't want to talk about, and that's the actual money and monetization.
I love talking about it.
I love talking money.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go get it. I think it was Myron. I don't know why I keep bringing him up, but I think it was Myron.
'Cause he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. Who said on your episode that people want an outstanding life without standing out. People want to make 7 figures but don't want to make the content. They want to make 6 figures and they don't know why they want to make money. The idea of making money, I think you mentioned this earlier, the idea of making money isn't that hard. But there are obviously tools and ways that we can make more of it. But what's been the most challenging part of this journey for you?
Yeah, when it comes to like making the money, it's becoming the person who's deserving of making the money.
What makes you say that?
I've learned that there's a number in your head that you think is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you make it, it no longer becomes a lot of money. And then you have a new number in your head that,
yep.
And that is I think that's actually a cycle that'll never end. Mm-hmm. And so the way I've broken through certain, financial barriers that I'm doing in my family has been a result of me growing, me becoming the person. Wanting $1 million doesn't come without you're first seeing yourself and believing that you're worth it.
Right.
And so I think the key is to becoming. But as far as like monetizing goes, I think it's just knowing that you just decide, do you want less people to buy and make a lot of money, or do you want a lot of people to buy and make a lot of money? And the reality is too, Google is not going to pay your way to financial prosperity. It's cool. It's a bonus. Right. I think we'll make like $60K on Google AdSense from YouTube this year, which is cool. Pays for whatever I think it pays for. It could pay for my mortgage. It could pay for our studio. It could pay for a salary.
Sure.
But the real money is made in that customer journey and the offer that I create. And my offer has grown from $2,000 upwards to $30,000, and that journey has simply I've been able to do that because I've become better at seeing value and conveying value, and also getting people results. I had a student make $40,000 last month, and that was his first like online money. Wow. And he doesn't have a huge audience. He just ran the play. And if someone like that paid me $25,000 and he made 40, and now he has that information and he has the framework, like, who got the short end of the stick?
Right.
But it's awesome. People that should be the case. You should get more out of the purchase, But yeah, I mean, you could monetize. I would there's actually this, it's funny. That challenge I do, there's a day in the challenge where I say, hey, who here would love by the end of this call to monetize their YouTube channel? Because everybody thinks it's like something you got to work toward.
Yeah.
The reality is you could start monetizing today. And the way you do that is by sponsoring your own videos and putting a link to your business in the description. Congratulations. You just monetized your YouTube channel. Yeah. Day one. I have a student who, her name's Yiwei. She has 12 subscribers, 7 videos, and she got a $30,000 one-person client from those efforts. That's a great monetized YouTube channel.
She did great.
She monetized her YouTube
10
channel.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, she monetized her YouTube channel from day 0.
Wow.
It's just a way of thinking. It's like people they think they're building a media company. You're not. Like, Google AdSense isn't going to be the thing. What you talk about and how people, you're the ad. Right. You're the person. You're the one who's building trust, and then whatever that next step would be. So I mean, as far as monetization goes, you can make a lot of money with a small audience simply by having a specific message and then a specific offer.
One of my favorite parts, and I think one of my gifts, but it's also very challenging, is discovering talent and having like a great team around me. But the greatest challenge is it's also the biggest mistake financially I've ever made, is the team.
Yeah.
When people are overlooking who they should hire as an entrepreneur, if you are someone, and I guess this is more so for someone who is doing what we do, where there's a team, we're building out our podcast, we have businesses, there's, coaching program, and then everything that we're doing. Because the reality is there's no way I can scale this by myself. I'm not a solo entrepreneur. Not to mention, not only can I not scale it, I can't even get investor money if I wanted to, even as an investor myself. I don't invest in solopreneurs. I need to see what your team looks like.
Right.
But it's also one of the most expensive six-figure mistakes I've ever made.
It is.
Is the team around me. Can we talk about some of the challenges and how do we navigate when that doesn't work, or when the team members don't work? Because I should have fired faster.
Sure. I mean, I don't desire to build a huge, crazy, demanding business. Every opportunity, which I don't have an opportunity problem, praise God for that. I think it's because of the brand. Every opportunity comes at the mercy of my lifestyle, and how much time I'm willing to give up, how much time away from the family, away from my church family, and those things. So I say all that to say, I've made so many mistakes, and I don't want to call them mistakes. Yeah. I was saying I had the thought earlier I had a couple of days ago was, failure is only failure if you determine it to be failure, or it could just be for feedback.
Sure.
And the cost of business is a cost of feedback.
A lot of it.
We pay a lot of money to figure things out.
Yeah.
And I actually think the reason why, one of the biggest characteristics of successful people in my life is that they are quick to take action, and they're successful not because they're successful because they failed faster and fixed it quicker, and they got to the success faster. Right. So I mean, I've made so many mistakes trying to figure out people, paying contractors, and adding a percentage on the outcome, and it's they didn't help me build the brand.
Right.
There's so many aspects to why people decide to buy with me. I find it frustrating when I feel like I'm telling you what to do. Like Dan Martell says, when I hire somebody, I don't hire you to tell you what to do. I hired you to tell me what to do. And that's been an ever-changing journey because we want to save on that salary, maybe a little bit, but in our minds, it might just prevent us from actually just hiring the person who knows what they're doing better than us.
Right.
So I think it's just I'm in that journey. The reality is like Art, I've known him for 11 years. So a lot of who he is and what he knows has been a result of just our relationship. Right. There's a girl on the team who does a lot of my admin and operation stuff, and she's not obsessed with her role.
Right. I
wish she was, but then I was like I also can't expect somebody to be obsessed with something that's not theirs. So there's also that side of it. I think a lot of it just comes down to the culture you're creating, the objective of your business. I mean, I know someone. I don't think she would care if I said her name, but Shalene Johnson.
That was a great episode, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Is she the one that the one that went viral? I think when I saw it,
she was like the first.
K is when I saw.
Yeah, she was the first takeoff, the first episode that took off.
Okay.
And she's been somebody I've known for a long time. She has no shame that she has VAs. She doesn't have anybody in person.
Right.
And she has a multi-7-figure, company, and she's doing awesome stuff. She's a phenomenal. Her podcast is blowing up on YouTube. And that's just because of the life she desires to live. So I would imagine culture in some aspect isn't she doesn't need to focus on that stuff. There's other people that want that stuff. They want to create, have these values and all this stuff and put it on the wall. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone's different, right. But I think the cost of discovering who the right people are, that's just the cost. I mean, at the end of the day, I found I've been able to see a lot and make a lot from counting the cost beforehand, in the sense that I'm willing to pay this cost because it's going to make me move. If I hire this person, regardless if they're world class or not, which by the way, I've learned that just lead, if anything, lead with the expectations up front, right. But whether they are or not, it's going to make me care. Yeah. I think that's part of the journey, is just what are the things I need to pay more attention to. And in my case, it was coming up with a way to get people into my program. And that way is through a 5-day challenge. And I was overthinking the 5-day challenge for so long, when I just needed to do it. And I got somebody to come on and help me do it. And the price of that person was enough for me to do it. Ended up doing it, got the insight, and then felt like I didn't need their help anymore, and it was fine. Right. They got compensated for their time. I thought they got more than compensated for their time, and I was able to do it with less. So I think it's just the journey of figuring out. I think that there's some things I'm learning. Just maybe put 90 days on it first. Lead hype, so many expectations up front. Hey, no side hustles during the week. I want, because something I desire people, if you're going to work with me, what I really want is your mind. When I was doing stuff for Sean and Think Media, I treated it like my own. I TMI, but I'd shower and think about video ideas I can make for his company. And it wasn't like he told me that. He didn't tell me that. I just cared. I don't know. I mean, I think, and obviously it's paid dividends. It was all seeds I was sowing, but I don't know. We don't have to get into like the young generation, but there's something about it where I don't know, like I don't know how otherwise to do it other than like whether it's their personality or the way they were raised or something. Okay. But I just want, if you're going to be on this team and I'll pay you well, I want your mind. Okay. I want you to tell me, if I haven't heard this, there's something off. Hey, Omar, what do you think about this? You know, like, in all honesty, sometimes it'll go so much time. I'm like, I haven't heard that question in so long, which means you're not thinking. So anyway, this is a little, I don't know. That was kind of all over the place. I'm still learning too, like as far as roles and stuff, but.
No, it's facts. I obsess over every single client. There's a particular client right now that this is a total digression, but literally, like, I'm always consistently thinking, and I will call Tillman, my CO, and I'm like, hey, I have an idea. Do you think it's too late to call him? And it's like 11 p.m. He's like, Sarah, he's on the East Coast. No, we can't call him. But I had an idea.
Shout out to the update. You can like send a scheduled text now.
Wait, what?
If you update your iPhone.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, you could like send this text and then you write it out. And then when you're sleeping, he'll get it at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. But it's 5 a.m. over here. Yeah,
because I tend to forget stuff. So if I don't send it right then, or write down the idea.
Yeah, imagine like a voice memo. You could just wait. You know, you could schedule it to send. You just need to update your phone to the new iOS.
That might be a clip we're going to post first.
Yeah.
That might be this week's clip. Let's see if that goes viral. No, in my luck, that'll be the one that goes viral.
Okay, but with this guy, what are you saying as far as the frustration?
No, I just obsess over like having an idea of like, hey, I need you to make this content next, or this is the funnel that we're going to lead to, or when we do on demand, this is where it'll be. And then we'll talk about that later. There's a lot, but I'm with you about the TMI and obsessing like in the shower and thinking about as I'm doing my makeup or just going through life about. But like you said, I care. Yeah. Like I'm obsessed with each client, which is why I can say no to a lot of people who come, because I don't have a desire to, I can't be more passionate about what you're creating than you are, but I also can't build a team either. I know that they're not going to care as much as I do, but if I can get them to be passionate about their particular line of work and being exceptional at what they do.
And that's for them.
It's for you.
Yeah.
People assume because of what they see now and where we are right now, that's the kind of content that they have to produce. He shot 10 episodes in the backyard with just friends, just getting the reps in. And I remember the first season of Influence to Equity, I thought I had to overproduce. I paid so much money for the first season. Whew. Like I paid a lot of money. Omar, it was I should have called you first.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that when I watched him do it, I didn't need to overproduce. I didn't need this whole production that needed to happen. And so it allowed me to get the reps in then for the next like 12 episodes until I could find my cadence. And then I realized that where season 1 was isn't even where season 3, I guess now we're on, isn't even the direction right in the voice that I have. One of the trends that I've noticed, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, because we can talk about, last question, I promise, for 2025 in podcasting and content creation, is the fact that the days of super polished, the jump cuts, I don't know if it's just my own age, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that anymore. And I think people are tired.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the trends going into 2025 and the kind of content that people should be making or can make in order to produce income, whether it's residual or to get to the 7 figures like we've done? Yeah.
I think it comes back to objective. And if you're trying to entertain people, like, do what you got to do. But for the most of us, you just know that you have the permission to develop yourself, develop your personal brand from a point where it doesn't have to be overproduced. I like to say content value precedes production value. And if you hyper focus on the quality, the edit, and all that stuff, and you don't prioritize or focus on the way you package the content, the way you deliver the content, all those, the intentionality, the strategy, then you can waste your time and money, and then you burn yourself out. And if you think everything, like you're on season 3, so like you hope to probably get to season 25 one day.
Right.
So like iteration, give yourself the permission to just like do it messy up front, get the stuff out of the way, and you'll have something to look back on. There is not a creator or an entrepreneur creator or a personal brand that you follow where if you go to their oldest video, it's at the place where their last video was. Right. MKBHD, Mr. Beast, like all these people who are even like, they've given it their life to put out content. They had to grow. So we're not excused from that. And I think focus more on the strategy, on the intention, on your objective, and then you don't have to give into the production value, like all that stuff, like all the editing. I'm a fan. Yeah, same. And it might be because we're getting older too. Like, right. We'd rather watch a human being, rather than somebody who is not, it's not authentic or doesn't connect. Yeah. But that's what's beautiful about this thing is just, if you have a thought, deliver it. Something I've been kind of trying to, it's kind of like something I noticed from even my own personal content and things I've seen work is what I like to call conviction-based content. And that's like when you feel something for whatever it is, like act on it, deliver that piece of content. And there's a window of time when you feel passionate about a subject to deliver on it. There's a window of time for you to deliver it in a way where it's believable, where people feel like you care. Yeah. And so lean into your conviction and allow the intensity of your passion and the thing that you're obsessed about, let that come out as opposed to trying to make the production or the edit do that for you.
I lied. One last question. So we're watching the landscape of creators change, and I have been called just a creator or just an influencer or no, I am an entrepreneur. I to my soul, I'm an entrepreneur. And then people have said, how long are you going to keep this going? What folks don't understand is that there are private equity firms who are purchasing the catalogs of larger YouTubers and creators.
Yep.
You have, is it the Try Guys who got the $100 million investment from a private equity firm? You have Mr. Beast who's built, oh my gosh, what are they saying, like $1 billion? Is that the next step for creators? Where do you believe we're going with that? And will we see more of that?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is attention is the commodity, and attention is where the value is. And people who've built connections with audiences, there is value there. And you can get in front of people the same way that people pay a lot of money for Super Bowls. This is why I love podcasting. The behavior of consumption is a lot more invested than any other kind of content. And so I think that's why even some of these podcasters have gotten $100 million deals, and it's because of how deep their audience is. I do see that being the thing, because it's digital equity. That's why I'm okay. I'm not like, sometimes I think most of us feel like we're further behind than what we should be. That's just kind of like a lie that we live in many times. And I see the YouTube channel and how much it's making every day. It's like a crypto thing. Like, why wouldn't I just keep feeding this? Like, what other thing, that I enjoy doing is going to yield the same type of return? And then that aspect though, like I'm not doing it for the idea of maybe one day getting acquired. If that happens, that'd be cool. In my mind, my podcast, my personal brand is my retirement plan. I figure I can do this until I'm 75. Like I could sit down and talk with people, and maybe the focus will change over time, but seems pretty cool that when I decide to hang it all up in whatever regard, and I can just turn a camera, there'll be thousands of people wanting to hear my wisdom, and who knows? I mean, who knows what will happen after that, but there's also the opportunity it creates from just who you are, you showing up, people seeing you, company seeing you, and they're willing to invest in that idea. And it might not even be buying your channel or buying your audience. It might just be using you. I just signed my first brand deal after being with Think Media. Like, I've done 7 figures in brand deals, but this one was more special to me just because it was as a result of doing the podcast. And yeah, it was an $80,000 brand deal with a company I love. And yeah, it's kind of cool. Like if anybody wanted to, like I used to think $100,000 was a lot of money. And literally in just a year of doing the podcast, $60,000 with YouTube AdSense, which I don't recommend being the main source of income, and then an $80,000 brand deal, and like I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? It's awesome. Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for being here. Thank you for whatever reason, whatever brought you to LA. Thank you so much for being here. How can the people find you and how can they work with you?
For sure. Thank you for having me. This was really cool, really an enlightening conversation. And I love that you got the notes. Intention, people, intention.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm active on Instagram. My podcast is called The Department. If you're interested in personal branding, content creation, online business, a little bit of leadership and kingdom entrepreneurship, you could find that wherever you listen or watch podcasts. I do these challenges. If you're wanting to see how all this makes sense for a business, it's called the Content to Cash Challenge. And it's a 5-day experience, I believe, unlike anything. And you get some, the opportunity to ask me a question. I teach 5 days in a row. It's like the best thing in the world. And so that'd be something, if you want to tap into, go check it out. You can probably put in the links in the description and stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Whew. Y'all, this was a great, great episode. We will see you next week.